Hey guys, happy Monday. I am going to read the last two chapters of Wayside School is Falling Down. If you did not hear the ones that we read from Friday, you can go on to our Google Classroom and the link is in the stream section. And that's where I'll put the link for these two chapters too. So we left off in chapter 29, The Lost Ear. Mrs. Jules was teaching the class about mammals. All mammals have hair, she said. Baby raised her hand. Is my father a mammal? She asked. Yes, well, all people are mammals, said Miss Jules. But my father doesn't have any hair, said Baby. He's bald. Everybody laughed. Benjamin stared down at his desktop. He was very determined. Mrs. Jules would be handing out report cards at the end of the week. He had to tell her his real name before then. He raised his hand, but Mac also had his hand raised. Yes, Mac, said Miss Jules. I heard about a man who was getting his hair cut, and the barber cut off one of the man's ears. See, the man had very long hair. I think he was a hippie. So the barber couldn't tell that his ear was there until it fell to the floor. Thank you, Mac, said Mrs. Jules. That was a very interesting story. I'm not finished, said Mac, but when the barber saw the ear on the floor, he said, Is that your ear on the floor? And then the hippie said, What? I can't hear you. So the barber showed him his ear, and then he called an ambulance to take him to the hospital. Were they able to put his ear back on? Said Todd. Well, see, the doctors were all set to sew it on his head, but they were in the operating room and everything. But suddenly they couldn't find the ear. Man, they looked everywhere for it. Did they look under the operating table? Asked Joy. Yep, it wasn't there, said Mac. What about in the bathroom? Said Eric Bacon. Maybe they lost it when they washed their hands. They looked for it, but it wasn't there, said Mac. Did they leave it on the barber shop? Said Jenny. Nope. Did they ever find it? Asked Allison. Yes, but you'll never guess where. In the refrigerator, grumbled Mrs. Jules. No. How would it get there? Asked Mac. Well, we really need to get back to mammals, said Mrs. Jules. Yes, Mark? Benjamin lowered his head. My name's not Mark, he said. My name is Benjamin. Benjamin Neshmut, and I came from Hamilton, not Magnolia. Fine, said Mrs. Jules, but we're talking about mammals. Now, the whale is the largest mammal. Even though it lives in the ocean, it's still a mammal, not a fish. Do whales have hair? Said John. Yes. Dana laughed. A whale with pigtails? She exclaimed. Boy, I'd love to pull on those, said Paul. Benjamin couldn't believe it. Didn't you hear what I just said? He asked. Yes, Benjamin, said Mrs. Jules. Well, don't you think I'm strange? Asked Benjamin. All this time you've been calling me the wrong name, and I never told you. Don't you think I'm crazy? No, said Mrs. Jules. Benjamin was getting upset. Well, don't you think it's not a good name, Benjamin Neshmut? He looked around his classmates. Doesn't anybody think I'm weird? You're not weird. I'll tell you what's weird. What's weird is bringing a hobo to school for show and tell, and I'm the one who's weird. That's not weird, said Baby. What's weird is telling everyone you have a brother when you don't. I'm the weirdo. You call that weird, said Stephen. I'm weird. Who else would choke himself just to look nice? That's not weird, said Jenny. That's normal. Try reading a book backward. That's weird. I'm the weird one in this class. That's a laugh, said Rondi. If you're so weird, then how come you never asked Louis to kick you in the teeth? I'm the one who's crazy. No, that's not crazy, said Todd. I'll tell you what's crazy. What's crazy is that we all go to school on the 30th floor, and the bathrooms are way down on the first. Everyone agreed, even Miss Jules. Benjamin shook his head. What a bunch of weirdos, he thought. Then he smiled. He felt proud to be in a class where nobody was strange, because everybody was not normal. Oh, this must be your lunch, said Mrs. Jules. She gave Benjamin the white sack. It had been sitting on her desk since Benjamin's first day of school. At lunch, Allison headed down the stairs. Mark, she exclaimed. Hi, Allison, said Mark Miller. Long time no see. He carried a white paper sack just like Benjamin's. Allison was afraid she was back on the 19th story. Don't worry. Suddenly, everyone realized my name was Mark Miller and not Benjamin Neshmut, and then Mrs. Zarves gave me this bag and told me to take it to the hospital. Is that your lunch? Asked Allison. Look inside, said Mark. He handed her the bag. Allison looked inside, and guess what it was? It was an ear. Allison's eyes lit up. Oh, now I get it. I understand everything. There's no Miss Zarves, see? Mark was talking about the ear, and And then Benjamin said his name wasn't Mark Miller, so that means you. What? Said Mark. Allison suddenly looked confused. Never mind. For just a second, Allison had understood everything. But then she lost it. All right, last chapter. Chapter 30. Wayside School is falling down. A strong wind whooshed around the playgrounds in the early morning before school, blowing dirt and leaves in the faces of the children. When the bell rang, they could hardly make it from the playground to the school. The wind was blowing directly at them, pushing their hair straight back. With every gust of wind, the school building teetered one way and then tottered the other way. As they headed up the stairs, they could feel the building sway back and forth. The higher they got, the more it swayed. Hooray, said Kathy. Wayside School is falling down. Why are you so happy about that, said Joe. We'll all die. Yes, but we won't have to do homework, said Kathy. They entered the room on the 30th story. Mrs. Jules rang her cowbell. Find your seat, she said. That wasn't easy. All the desks were crammed together on the other side of the room. The building swayed and the desks slid to the other side of the room. Finally, the children found their seats and planted their feet firmly on the floor. We're going to have a fire drill today, said Miss Jules, so let's be prepared. Who is the door monitor this week? I am, said Marisha. Good, said Miss Jules. Who's our help monitor? I am, said Jason. Very good. You have a big mouth, said Miss Jules. Stephen raised his hand. What if there really is a fire, he asked. There's not going to be a real fire, said Miss Jules. It's just a drill. I know, but what if there's a real fire, asked Stephen, and the fireman won't come because they'll think it's a drill. The school will burn down. Don't worry, said Kathy. The school's not going to burn down. It's going to fall down. Bleep, beep, 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 bleep, bleep, bleep. It was the fire drill. Marisha, the door monitor, held open the door. Jason, the help monitor, ran to the window. Help, he screamed. Save us. We're up here. Help, help. Mrs. Jules led the children out of the room. If there was a real fire, the children might not be able to see her because of the smoke, so she constantly rings the cowbell. There wasn't time to go all the way down to the stairs either. Mrs. Jules led them up the ladder and through the trap door to the roof. If there was a real fire, helicopters would rescue them from up there. The wind was even worse on the roof than it was on the playground. Mrs. Jules stood in the center and held the cowbell high above her head and looked like the Statue of Liberty. Everyone stay away from the edge, she said. Kathy sang, Wayside School is falling down, falling down. It's not falling down, said Stephen. It's burning down, and no one will rescue us because they think it's a drill. Jenny noticed a dark funnel cloud shape off in the distance. Tornado! We're going to get sucked off the roof! A flash of lightning lit the sky, followed by a loud crack of thunder. We're going to be struck by lightning, said Todd. No, we won't, said Stephen. We're going to burn in a fire. No, we'll be sucked up in the tornado, said Jenny. No, the school's going to fall down, said Kathy. Mrs. Jules rang her cowboy. Kablunk, kablunk, kablunk. The strong wind carried the sound for miles. Suddenly, screams came down from below. Then the whole building began to shake. Earthquake, yelled Benjamin. Fire, corrected Stephen. The school must be struck by lightning, said Todd. Tornado, said Jenny. All fall down, said Kathy. The building continued to rumble and shake. More and more screams were sounded. Listen, said Myron, they're trying to warn us. Down below, all 500 kids and teachers were shouting, Star bringing purple. What are they saying, said Miss Jules? I don't know. Mrs. Jules rattled her cowbell. Star bringing purple, they shouted again. It sounds like star bringing purple, said Myron. What does it mean? Myron shrugged. Mrs. Jules rang her bell louder. Star bringing your bell. Wait, they're not saying star bringing purple. They're saying star bringing your bell. What's your bell, said Mrs. Jules. She rang her bell even louder. The school shook and rumbled. Stop bringing your bell. Stop something, said Myron. So Mrs. Jules rang her cowbell again. Stop ringing your bell. Stop ringing your bell, Myron finally said. Oh, she stopped ringing her bell, and Mrs. Jules looked down. All the students and teachers clapped their hands, but it was too late. Rondi opened the trap door. Cows, she exclaimed. The school was filled with cows from all over the countryside. Cows heard Mrs. Jewls' cowbell and heeded the call. Thousands of them filled the stairs and all the classrooms. There was no way for the children to get down. Helicopters finally came and took them off one at a time from the roof. Wayside School didn't blow down either. It didn't burn down. It wasn't struck by lightning or sucked up in a tornado or destroyed by an earthquake. It was cowed. No one knew how to get rid of the cows. Cows are strange animals. They don't mind walking upstairs, but nothing can make them walk downstairs. Someone suggested starving the cows, but the farmers wouldn't allow that. Thousands of bales of hay were sent in. Several cows had calves. The newspapers thought it was funny and made jokes about smart cows learning to read and write. And so Wayside School was closed. The kids and the teachers were temporarily sent to different schools. Only one person stayed behind. He was there all day and all night trying to get the cows to go home. "Come on," pleaded Louis, the yard teacher, as he pushed and pulled the cows. "Go home, please. Pretty please." Everybody mooed. And that is the end of Wayside School is Falling Down. So we are going to start another read aloud. And the next read aloud we're going to start is called Red. And this is the next book in the Rump and Jack series. So if you remember back to Rump, his friend Red, we're going to learn a little bit more about her. And so we'll start that next. I hope you have a great day. Bye.